Well, thank you so much for joining us virtually here today. So nice to take part of this small farm conference here with Kentucky State University. I'm going to go ahead and share a slide deck and introduce myself. My name is Gabrielle Resch McNally, and I am from American Farmland Trust. And some of you might know us as being an organization that really kind of got our start 40 years ago at protecting farmland. In those 40 years, we've really expanded what we do and what we provide by promoting sound farming practices and keeping farmers on the land. It continues to be our mission. We work across the United States, and increasingly we're working in the Southeast and right here in Kentucky. So this is just a snapshot of some of our team of folks who implement programming across the country. And I'll be here today as our Director of Women for the Land program, and Caitlin Joseph, who's our outreach coordinator for Women for the Land. We're part of the national team, but I share the images of all these other wonderful folks who've really taken part in supporting and building out the program to be what it is. And during our live Q&A session, Grace Summers, who's been working with us in North Carolina and Kentucky, will be here to help answer some questions. So what is Women for the Land, and what is this American Farmland Trust program? So we engage women in peer-to-peer learning circles, connecting them to financial, technical, and informational resources to help them be successful either on the land that they own, the land that they farm, the land that they want to farm. We explore policy levers that help to support equitable distribution of resources and thinking about how we get more resources in the hands of women. And we also conduct research. Just a real short snapshot, more than 36% of Kentucky's land is owned by women non-operating landlords. That means women who own farmland or rent it out, which tracks with a lot of the national numbers as well. Also, 35% of farmers in Kentucky are women, 27% of whom are principal operators on the farms that they own or manage. So women are increasingly important when we think about on the agricultural landscape. And when we look at the future, we see that it is increasingly with women. The majority of new and beginning farmers are women, and women are disproportionate leading kind of small, more under-resourced, but more highly diversified farms, both here in Kentucky, but also around the country. But one of the challenges of being a woman in agriculture is facing challenges with accessing those financial and technical resources. And there are still some gender barriers that exist for women in agriculture. So these are some quotes from women participants in some of our learning circles that I'll tell you more about soon. But some of the things we hear about is, you know, I feel like there's some kind of secret society I don't belong to with an alphabet soup of acronyms. Some women expressing this sort of, it's a good old boys type of thing. You're the new kid on the block, and we're just not taken seriously enough. Other women sharing the fact that a recent spouse just died and they don't know where to start. Their spouse or perhaps a family member died, and they are now taking over the land and trying to figure out what to do with it. And again, another woman saying, I have to remind my advisors that I'm the landowner and not my husband. So women are still facing challenges associated with being a woman on the landscape, and we know that they need greater attention and connection to resources. And so one of the ways that we've helped to meet the needs of women in agriculture is through these peer-to-peer learning circles. One of the big pieces here is that we really acknowledge women as experts and decision makers on their own land. We bring in technical resource staff. In a bit, I'll be inviting Amanda Robertson from USDA to share more of her resources and information, but we invite folks to participate in discussion with us and build a collaborative discussion with less hierarchy and less disconnect between kind of the experts. We see women as experts in their land and who are looking to steward it or care for it based on the information that they have. So we try to bring resources that will support them to do that. We usually try to have some of the time, at least in the day, that is just for women to share and learn from one another. And when we're in non-COVID times, we usually try to bring people together in a full day event where we have a morning discussion and a field tour. And you really get to actually see what people are doing on their land. And we hope, our plan is to bring learning circles to Kentucky this next year. We may have to start off doing some more virtual work, but the plan is to continue to look for ways to do some work together in person in the coming year. So I'm going to pass it off to Caitlin Joseph, who's going to share a little bit more about our program.
Yeah, thanks, Gabrielle. So again, hi all, my name is Caitlin Joseph, working with Gabrielle on our Women for the Land program, and just wanted to elaborate a little bit more about kind of the format and what happens at our learning circles. Gabrielle mentioned, who we generally bring together for these events, and we wanted to just talk a little bit about the audience, who we usually, invite and try to tailor the programming for. So really try to keep this as broad as possible. So anyone, really a woman who's in some sort of decision-making role on farmland. So that might be as a landowner or as someone managing a farm, even if they are renting. Or even, in some of the regions that we've operated, it's been folks that are in a decision-making role on kind of a community nonprofit sort of farm. Where they're actually able to make some decisions about how that land is stewarded and what crops are produced and whatnot. We also have folks that are poised to make those decisions. So even if someone is aspiring to be in such a role, they're welcome at these events as well. So again, Gabrielle mentioned a little bit about the format, but this approach is really backed up by research around adult education, and particularly what is effective for peer-to-peer learning. So women connecting with other women is a really supportive environment we found for helping draw out some of these challenges. And there are a lot of the stories that we hear from women tend to involve a lot of vulnerability. So we use the time at the beginning to really make sure that every person who joins the learning circle introduces themselves, tells their story, and is in a supportive, non-hierarchical space where folks are actually physically sitting in a circle or on Zoom, making sure we're in gallery view, and really ensuring that everyone has a place to share and is invited to participate equally. So we generally try to opt for experience-based learning. So you can see in these photos, usually when we're able to be in person, actually going out to the land and seeing some of the examples that are discussed in the actual learning circle itself. Generally, we'll have a theme, which we'll talk a little bit about in just a second, some of the topics we touch on. But these field experiences, are really important for grounding the learning in the real world. And when we're doing these virtually, we've been able to go out to women's farms and actually record them talking about practices that they're seeing on their farms, and then connecting obviously with local resource providers from different conservation agencies or farmland protection support agencies. So we can move on. Great. And so some of the topics we've covered really depends on some of the priorities and the needs in the place that we're operating. So this is one of the things that, you know, over the next few months, we'll be inviting feedback from folks like you all to help us understand, you know, which topics will be most appropriate, most interesting to women in Kentucky. So we've done a lot on soil health, covered some issues around water quality and on-farm practices that can promote water quality. Um, Pollinator habitats, we've covered leasing and land protection issues. That's a little bit of a drier topic, harder to get out in the field, but maybe great for the landowners that we work with. And then increasingly, we've been covering climate smart agricultural practices and helping folks with creating a conservation plan for their whole operation. So interested in expanding those topics as we expand into Kentucky. Gabrielle, you want to take this?
Yeah, so it's just, you know, as we kind of share this wonderful program with folks, we just want to say that, you know, we've seen that this work and this coming together as women has inspired action and increased confidence of women. So I won't read all of these quotes for you, let you have a moment just to kind of digest these. But one of the ones that I'll just kind of highlight here is, you know, I came to learn what I can so I can contribute to conversations about the farm. If you don't know, you don't have a voice. So we bring these programs to help women find their voice, to improve their ability to influence management on the land they own, the land they manage, or perhaps for those who are trying to aspire to be farmers, figuring out how to find their voice in that space as well. So we know that our programming, again, can inspire action. Women take action as a result of participating in our learning circles, and they also feel much more confident. And so the learning circles can support you in some different ways. We're coming to Kentucky. We want to think about designing programming that meets your needs and plan to have some meetings that are more directed to inquire as to what those needs are. So stay tuned with your Kentucky State partners, or reach out to us directly after this if you want to help guide our programming. But some of the things that we want to kind of leave you thinking about are like, what are those challenges you face when you're seeking financial, technical, or informational resources? So just to kind of give you a flavor of what we might do at a learning circle, so since we don't just want to sort of promote what our program is, we decided to just do a real light touch here today about how the learning circle can help you navigate what one of our women participants said is this alphabet soup of resources. So in a moment, Amanda Robertson will be sharing about the USDA, or the US Department of Agriculture. But one of the things that we'll do here at a learning circle when we have more time together is that we'll bring technical service providers together to share more information about their organizations, their resources. So USDA is one of our big partners, often folks who are representing the Farm Service Agency or FSA, or folks representing the Natural Resources Conservation Service, or NRCS. And again, Amanda will do a deeper dive on that, but I just kind of wanted to highlight that. We might also bring in folks from the Kentucky Department of Agriculture to talk a little bit about their Office of Agricultural Marketing and how that might influence your success as a farmer. And then we might bring in partners from the Soil and Water Conservation Districts. There are 121 conservation districts in Kentucky, and they're there at the county level to help you either administer federal programs, but there are a lot of local county and state programs that can help you get set up for conservation, and give you resources, both financial and technical, to make decisions on your land. So again, in a learning circle, we would bring these folks together and do a deep dive. So for the purposes of today, we're going to invite Amanda to do that as sort of a light touch on kind of what we can learn from the U.S. Department of Agriculture. And I just wanted to highlight, before I pass it to Amanda, is that one of the big pieces from the learning circles is really to learn from fellow farmers, other landowners, other people who are in the situation that you're in, how critical it is to sort of learn from one another, and how much the women who participate in our programs get out of that. So this is just kind of an ending for our piece here. We'll be sure that this information is posted on the website so that you can get in touch with us if you want to. But with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and we're going to pass it off to Amanda to share a little bit more about the USDA. We really appreciate her being here today.
Okay, thanks, Gabrielle. And we are very excited here in Kentucky to have this group coming to us to bring a lot of different and cool things, especially for our women farmers or those wanting to become involved. I think it's a group that has a lot to offer and contribute, and will be a very helpful asset to our Kentucky women in agriculture. So we're definitely happy to have you. We welcome you. We want to support you in any way that we can. And today we hope to continue what's already been presented to let you know a little bit more about what USDA has to offer. Women certainly have a place in agriculture. We recognize that at the United States Department of Agriculture. We have the Beginning Farmer Initiative, which my title is the Regional Beginning Farmer Coordinator. Women fall into that category because we want to promote women in agriculture. We want you to know that we have programs that are here to assist you. We're here to support you in any way that we can. So the Farm Service Agency falls under an umbrella with USDA known as Farm Production and Conservation. We are joined with the Natural Resource Conservation Service as well as the Risk Management Agency. These three agencies are grouped together because they provide one-on-one service to the farmer and to our women farmers. During this time of COVID-19, our offices are typically open to anyone and everyone, but at this time we're operating by phone appointment only. However, even before we entered into COVID, we realized that a lot of people like to do things remotely. So this is an online portal, farmers.gov, is there to serve you. And you can connect online with folks there, learn about different programs through USDA. It's just a great resource to use. So we would like to direct you there. As we think about our women in agriculture, as we have already stated, USDA is committed to supporting women in agriculture, and nearly 1 million women are working America's land, which is approximately 1/3 of our nation's farmers. You know, women are often involved in every aspect of farming. We often see women, they are the backbone of the farming operation. So we want to see you come to the front. We want to see you get involved. And in Kentucky, you know, we're making progress there. As was stated, here's some data from the 2017 Census of Agriculture. We saw an increase from 2012, which we're very, very happy about. 36.7% of Kentucky's farmers are women. So we're thrilled with that. To dive in a little bit to start us out with the Farm Service Agency, this is the first agency that you should connect with when becoming involved in federal government programs. This is where you are assigned what we call a farm serial number. And we have programs that help you to purchase land, to get crops in the ground, to purchase livestock, equipment, things like that. And that's through our farm loan program. As was mentioned about the alphabet soup, you'll see here where that comes from. We love to use acronyms, but we hope to be able to spell this out a little bit clearer for you. I know that we'll offer a lot of information here in a short period of time, but as you go back and you have access to this information, you can review it and digest it there on your own. But once you've got your land, you've got your crops planted, then you come back to us to do a crop report. That enables you to participate and make you eligible for programs to participate in. We have an insurance known as the Non-Insurable Assistance Disaster Program. If you are a female, if you're a beginning farmer, you're underserved, a minority, you have the opportunity to get this insurance for free. Typically, there's an administrative fee that's associated with the program. If you fall into that category, you get the insurance for free. So you've got your crops insured. If you're ready to harvest those crops, you're not ready to sell them quite yet, or you're needing a way, if you're a fruit and vegetable producer, you're needing a way to transport those commodities or a way to store them to keep them fresh, we have the Farm Storage Facility Loan Program. You can purchase cooler trucks, cold storage units, anything like that. The program was initially designed for our grain farmers to purchase and construct grain bins. But as we see the face of agriculture changing, there was a need to expand that program to incorporate our fruit and vegetable growers to make them be eligible to participate in this wonderful program. Should you have a disaster that comes upon your farm, we've got compensation for that. The livestock indemnity program, a lot of people refer to that as the dead animal program. So if you're a livestock producer, you lose livestock due to adverse weather, extreme heat, extreme cold, you're welcome to apply for that program. Then the emergency conservation program, this is if we have a tornado, if we have a freeze that comes along, we have flooding, anything helps to repair fence, clean up debris, things like that. You're welcome to participate in that. Cost share programs, the organic certification cost share program, and then conservation reserve programs. So there's cost share opportunities available there. And then at the end of the day, we like to see you come have a seat at our table and let your voice be heard. This is where Gabrielle spoke about having a voice. We have a county committee system, helps with the everyday operation of the farm, or the Farm Service Agency. And so it's your opportunity to be a leader in your county and to become involved in that process at the Farm Service Agency. We're always looking for women to serve on that committee, so keep that in mind. As we talked about the programs that support our beginning farmers, our women in agriculture, these are some incentives that are provided to you through various programs. As we mentioned, those fees being waived for that insurance. If you're a dairy farmer, with the dairy margin coverage program, the administrative fee of $100 is waived. And then for our farm loan program, we have special targeted funding for our beginning farmers or underserved producers and folks such as that. So we have separate funds for that. So to help you get started, we always say that, you have to have something to do something with before you can participate in a lot of these other programs. So we do have programs, low interest loans, our direct operating loan, we can go up to $400,000 on that. For a lot of our beginning farmers or small farms, they utilize the microloan program. So this is $50,000 or less. Keep in mind with our direct programs, no down payment is required on these. And as I mentioned, we have separate funding for our special targeted groups. So money is readily available typically for those individuals. So just keep that in mind. It's a great loan program. Oftentimes folks struggle maybe to get financing through a commercial or conventional lender if they're just starting out or if they've fallen upon hard times. So the Farm Service Agency is known as the lender of first opportunity. We also have a program to help you to purchase land. So we can go up to $600,000. Again, no down payments required. So you can't typically go to a conventional lender and get 100% financing, but we do offer that, and we term it up to 40 years is what we can go. If those loan limits exceed that $600,000 or that $400,000 that you're needing, we have a guaranteed program. You would work with a conventional lender, but the government would support that loan and back it up to 95%. So it's a great program that a lot of our poultry farmers utilize with their operations. And then we do offer a youth loan program. So if you have children who are interested in agriculture, this is a great way to get them involved. Children ages 10 to 20 can participate in this loan. The interest rate, the terms, everything's the same as a regular operating loan, but they must be involved in 4-H and FFA. The parent, the guardian is in no way responsible for the repayment of the loan. It's completely on the youth. So it's a great opportunity to get them involved in agriculture. As we think about the Natural Resource Conservation Service, as was mentioned already, these folks are a technical and a financial provider. They have great opportunities for you. They help the people, help the land. That's kind of their motto of what they do. So we highly recommend that folks connect with their local NRCS offices. We call them boots on the ground folks. They'll come out to your farm, make recommendations on potentially some programs that you could participate in. By no means are you required to do what they say. just suggestions. It's things that's there. It's programs that's there to help you. They will provide their technical expertise there on guiding you through some program opportunities. So I encourage you to participate, to connect with these folks. Both FSA and NRCS typically are co-located across the Commonwealth. So we're very fortunate to have that service where there's an FSA office. Typically there's an NRCS in the same building, so you can make 2 stops at one location. We do have, if you need to find out where your service center is located, we have a USDA service center locator online. You can just Google that. A map of the United States will come up. You can click Kentucky. It's broken into 2 parts, east and west. Click on that. You'll click on your county, and there it will give you the contact information and location of your service center. Now, keep in mind, we have 120 counties in Kentucky, but we have 64 USDA service centers. So your county may not have a physical presence in each county, but your county is certainly serviced at some location across the state. So everyone's covered. You know, here we do recommend the beginning farmers, if you're just starting out, you visit with NRCS to create a conservation plan, then there you can tailor it, apply for various programs, whether it's financial needs, it's farm program needs, whatever your needs may be. So you have an idea. The most popular program we'll highlight here is the Environmental Quality Incentives Program. This is a cost share program. Again, if you're a beginning farmer, you fall into that category, you're underserved. So they have a group called Historically Underserved Producers. This EQIP program, it is a ranking system, a competitive program. If you fall into those categories, it gives you some extra points in that ranking process. Then it can potentially give you some extra cost share opportunities. They are based, their repayment, their cost shares on a payment schedule. If we break that down, ideally speaking, you can look at it as being a 75% cost share. If you fall into the historically underserved categories, you can potentially get up to 90% cost share. So there's a lot of variables there, but it's a great opportunity to utilize their programs. Risk Management Agency, another great agency within USDA, helps you to manage risk on your farms. There's a lot of risk involved in farming, so we highly, highly recommend that you connect. You have insurance on your farms. That's all headed up. We have local insurance agents across our states, but ultimately it is all regulated by the Risk Management Agency. Here on the USDA Risk Management Agency service, we have a beginning farmer page. Just talks about various opportunities, directs you to various resources depending on what you're looking for. So there again, a very, very helpful resource. The National Ag Statistics Service, this is how we track how many farmers we have across the country, how many farmers are in Kentucky, how many female farmers we have in Kentucky. This is where we get that data, and this is the agency that helps us to determine what programs are needed across our state, across the country. It's important that every voice is heard. Here again, this is an opportunity for you to have your voice heard in the Census of Agriculture, in the ag surveys that are sent out throughout the year. It's not just the government wanting to know your business, but it's your opportunity to voice your concerns, to let them know what's going on to your farm, so we can determine if there are subsidy programs, if there's disaster programs that need to be put in place to help you, to help your farm to sustain. So it's very, very important we connect and participate with the National Ag Statistics Service. Rural Development works much like the Farm Service Agency through a direct and guaranteed loan program, but this is the agency that helps folks to purchase and build homes in rural areas. Farm Service Agency basically is tailored to helping folks with production farmland, and then Rural Development has the opportunity to help folks with the housing needs. We do have a couple of programs here that we like to highlight. The Value Added Producer Grant and the Rural Energy for America program. Both of these programs are competitive programs. They're grants that are available there. Probably most popular is the REAP program, helping to conserve energy on your farm. It does not help if you're just new, starting out a new business, a new home. It's to make improvements there. There again, with the Value Added Producer Grant program, same thing applies. Competitive program, you do have the opportunity to identify if you're a beginning farmer. It will give you additional points in that ranking system. So value added would be if you're growing tomatoes, you're making salsa, doing berries, making jam, growing grapes, producing wine, anything to add value to your product. That service is available. As was mentioned with the Kentucky Department of Agriculture, they run the Ag Marketing Service, the Farmers Market Promotion Program, the Local Food Promotion Program for us here in Kentucky. It's a wonderful program. If you're involved in those circles, we encourage you to get involved there. Now, an individual can't apply for these programs, but if you have a farmers market group, that's how you apply for these programs. Can help you to help your community. So we definitely want to do that. Want to point out, you know, if you're just getting started, you're a vegetable producer, you're, growing your own meat, whatever you're doing there, Farm to School is a good marketing tool. Tina Garland is the point of contact here in Kentucky. You don't have to be doing anything on large scale, but it's a great marketing opportunity. It helps to support the local food movement. You're getting healthy foods into the youth at school. So we definitely want to support that program. It's a good opportunity for you to become involved. As I mentioned, we see the face of agriculture changing. Here in Kentucky, we may not think so much about urban agriculture, but it's certainly here. We have folks that are being very innovative, and at USDA, we saw a need to support this group and this movement. So we have a USDA Urban Agriculture Toolkit. It's something that's there to help you. The Seasonal High Tunnel program, this is through NRCS. It's a very, very popular program. Probably could be their most popular program. This allows folks in an urban area to grow food, extend their growing season through the Seasonal High Tunnel program. As we mentioned about getting involved with FSA and being assigned a farm serial number, there's no limit on how big or how small your farm can be. If it's 1/100th of an acre, we can assign you a farm serial number. We're even doing things where folks are producing food on rooftops. Definitely fits into the urban agriculture movement. So no matter what you're doing, don't discount yourself and say, oh, I'm not eligible. We like to say there's a place for everyone at USDA. So we're moving to support all facets of agriculture and to provide support. And this is how we work together with all of our outside agencies, our outside partners, not just within federal government. We work with everyone. We could not do what we do without the help and support of those other groups, those other agencies. From start to finish, we all support our women in agriculture. We all support our beginning farmers. So here you can definitely see how women in ag have a place. They support, they touch everyone, each of us every day of our lives, from schools and universities, non-government organizations, consumers, markets, ag businesses, state and local government. So you're definitely needed. We want you to have a place. And just to wrap things up, this is with the Farm Service Agency here again, the direct link to help you find your county office. And as stated, we have 64 county offices with 16 farm loan teams across the Commonwealth. Currently, Brian Lacefield is our state executive director. He is located there in Lexington, Kentucky. He's over all of the Farm Service Agency, all the county offices. So then that ends that presentation. Here's my contact information. If you have a question for me or would like to connect or would like more information, we'd be happy to share that with you. So thank you for the opportunity to give you a quick rundown of USDA programs.
Thank you, Amanda. That was such a whirlwind, and it's just so many great resources that you all offer. And I just wanted to kind of highlight that, if you're feeling overwhelmed at this point, that's part of what the Learning Circles offer, is a way to kind of take some of this information in bite-sized chunks and to talk about it with your peers, and to meet a couple of resource providers that are really knowledgeable about these different offerings and ask your questions in a less intimidating way, potentially, than going straight to the FSA office, for example. So hopefully, the Learning Circles will be a way for you to kind of get introduced to some of these programs, and/or a pathway to kind of building some relationships with resource professionals like Amanda. And thank you again, Amanda, for all that fantastic information. Gabrielle, I'll kick it to you to wrap up.
Yeah, well, we just so appreciate people tuning in and doing this virtual deep dive. We can't wait to meet with you in person when we can, and look for ways to get some of you to join in our learning circles. Please reach out to us for more information, and many of you will be chatting with during our live Q&A session. So bring your questions there, and we'll provide some more resources when we meet together again. Thank you.